I have the pleasure of speaking today with Lance Kearse, who I totally met by random chance, and great chance it was. I called up Milton Mills, the doctor, Milton Mills, and asked him if he knew anyone or knew anything about sickle cell disease, because I have the honor of presenting at the sickle cell disease conference this year. Dr. Mills referred me to Lance, who will be able to tell you his own story shortly. I am just blown away with great gratitude for the gifts I've been given this year, and this is one of them. So nice to meet you. I gotta shake your hand.
Yes,
I'm
thank
so
you.
honored. I'm so
Thank
honored.
you. Thank you.
Now, over on the other side, who you can't see, there's this very beautiful woman sitting there. Her name is Tara, and she's here with Lance. So every now and then you might see us look over there or, do anything, but that's because there really is somebody over there. We're not making that up. Okay. All right. So tell me, tell me a little bit about your background. And really, this is about children's nutrition. So I want to know, what was your life like as a child before you switched your diet?
Okay.
And then the whole story. Now, I got to be honest, we try to keep these to like an hour, so you can't go into the deep details,
Okay.
but yeah, go ahead.
We'll go knee deep.
Yeah, good.
Right.
I like that.
We're not going to go so deep. Okay. Yeah. So I have sickle cell trait, right? Different than sickle cell disease. But if I get myself to a point where I have rigorous activity, exhausted, or sick, or dehydration, or if I'm in a compromised position, then I have the same symptoms. Like, I've been in the hospital twice for it, right? I've had complications and crises that I just ignored because
Wow.
because I thought it was just pain, right? Because I was a high level athlete, I was pushing myself too far. My worst part with sickle cell was when I was in college, and we were practicing in a gym that was 15 degrees hotter inside than it was outside. Yeah, it was in the summer, Richmond, Virginia. It was about 115.
Oh,
No, 105 or something like that.
either way is hot.
Yeah, it was hot.
Anything over 100 is plenty hot enough.
Yeah. No circulation, no nothing. Rushed to the hospital. Elevated muscle breakdown. But yeah, so that's where my journey begins, and the roughest part of my journey was with sickle cell. But as a kid,
Yes.
oh man, it was rough. I was sick all the time.
Okay. So where did you grow up?
Fort Myers, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah,
so hot climate, right? Kind of humid. Yeah. All right. So you grew up in Fort Myers, and then so tell me, what was your earliest memories of your health condition?
My earliest memories of my health condition was that I would miss time away from school because I would just get sick often. For some reason, I was always sick. I was always either injured or having cramps, and always had some type of issue with my body. And my mom, she got to a point where she was like, Lance, if you have to go to the hospital again, I'm not taking you. You had to take you.
I guess she was kind of tired of that game, huh?
Yeah. From me being a kid, playing around, breaking this, and getting this cut and that split, and just having to get stitches all the time. So I was a handful, not because I wanted things, it's because I was aggressive, and I was playing, and I was active. So, but my diet as a kid, my mom allowed me to do whatever I wanted to. So she parented in reverse.
Okay.
Right. She basically said, and I don't know if this was on purpose, but she was like, well, I'm just gonna let you do whatever, and you're gonna figure out that you don't like it.
Okay, then. That's one philosophy of parenting.
It worked. My mom let me eat whatever I wanted to. I had to go to sleep at 9:30 so I can go to school. But other than that, I was eating whatever, Skittles, candy. I was whatever, cereal. Snickers was one of my favorite candy bars.
Fast food.
McDonald's.
Yep.
A lot of McDonald's. Those arches, yeah. My eyes lit up every time we passed. So fries, chicken nuggets, chicken tenders. One of the things that really bothered me was that even though I was eating fast food, and it's all sort of a bad diet. It was the greasiest fast foods that bothered me. So we ate at a restaurant. It was called Long John Silver. It was like a seafood.
I remember
restaurant. You know
those.
about that?
Yes, I remember them.
And I ate it one day, and you know they deep fry that thing.
Yes.
It's if you squeeze it, it's probably a whole like an ounce, not even that, more than an ounce, like about 8 ounces of like
grease that comes out. Yes. Yeah.
I ate it. I got dizzy, tired. Yeah. Headache.
Wow.
I had the migraines where you could barely see, like it's pixelated
Sure.
in one eye. All right. Like I could be looking at you, but I can't see you.
Yes.
All right. And you know, that was one of my earliest memories. So I was like, yeah. Even as a child, like if it had a lot of grease on it, I was like, no, I don't want it, because I remember those hard times. It was a scare for me. Every time I ate something, a burger, if it was dripping with grease, it was like, no, I can't eat it. Like that's why I eat more Wendy's.
Okay.
So it was the lesser of the two evils, right?
Right.
So it was either Wendy's or Burger King, because they cooked theirs on the grill or something like that.
Right.
They didn't deep fry it.
Right.
McDonald's, they deep fried theirs and had a bunch of grease on it. So yeah, this is me talking about which one's better than the other.
Yeah. Well, you know, until you knew better, right?
Until I knew better, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So then you got to be high school age and became really involved in sports. Is that what happened?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, because you are like a picture of physical development, I would say, at this age. So when you got to high school, what sports were you in and how did that work?
So when I got to high school, I was playing football, basketball, and I dabbled a little bit in track.
Wait, before you go any further, how tall are you?
6'6".
6'6". Okay. I wish we could just like stand you up and get a full image of that. But yeah, okay, go ahead. So you're 6'6", you're in high school and you're playing basketball.
So I started high school at like 6'3", 6'4". Okay. I eventually grew up until I was like 15 to 6'6". I started out at like 170 something, 170 pounds. I graduated at 230. So I put on a lot of muscle. At 6'6", you look skinny at 170.
Yes, you do.
You look like a grown man at 230.
Right.
So
that's right.
It gradually got worse, my condition. It started from one place where I could play like the full game and be okay. To my junior, senior year, could not play the full game.
So how long could you actually stay in a game when you were in your last year's high school?
Last years of high school, the beginning of the season, because you know with sickle cell or sickle cell trait, you gradually get better over time, right? So in the beginning, it's the worst. Towards the end, in the middle, you're okay, right? So I could play hard, give you 100% for about 15, 20 minutes. The game's about 40 minutes. No, in high school, it's 32 minutes. Okay. Right? Because it's 8 minutes per quarter. And then after those like 15, 20 minutes, good luck. Wow. I'm useless. I'm just like a big waste of energy out there. So they would have to put me in, pull me out. In high school, I would have to come out every 5 minutes, get stretched out, drink Pedialyte. Not trying to brag or anything, but you know, I was really good, but it got to a point where it became a hindrance to how much better I could be. Right? I had one game I had 48 points, and it was like less than 30 minutes, right? Because I was coming in and out and getting stretched out. And at the end of the game, they're like, Lance, had you not been so tired, how many points you would have scored? Probably about 60.
Right. Like, and this was a basketball game?
Basketball, yeah. We're playing some of the highest level of competition. I was just so much more advanced at that point because I played the whole summer on a AAU team. It's called Nike Team Florida, a lot of like future NBA players. And when I came back down to like just on the high school level, it was just everyone was slow motion. But for me, one game I cramped up just before halftime. Right off the court, threw up. It was bad. It was terrible in high school. Wow. In college, it even got worse.
Wow. So tell us about that.
College was, oh man. I prepared the whole summer for college. I was like, let me be the best shape, because I know my shape isn't the best, because I didn't know I had sickle cell trait. Nobody knew I had sickle cell. Yeah. So let's rewind. No one knew I had sickle cell trait. Yeah. So I wasn't diagnosed from birth. I was diagnosed at 19. 2
Okay.
years into college, I was diagnosed.
Okay.
Right. But so when I was in college the first year, I'm training and working out. So when I go there, I'm ready. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready at all. So my freshman year, a month in, I'm training, I'm tired, I can't make times. You know, we did the preseason conditioning. Once again, the gym was hot. I couldn't make conditioning on Wednesday, so the guys who couldn't do it on Wednesday had to come back on Saturday to do more conditioning, because I guess more is better.
Yes,
right?
yes,
The
yes.
old school way.
That is, yeah.
I couldn't take it. My legs cramped up, my quads cramped up, my hamstrings cramped up, my abs cramped up, my back cramped up. Before you know it, everything from neck to toe, I was locked. I couldn't. My hands were starting to get cold. My feet were starting to get cold, and I was like, okay, guys, well,
right,
adios.
right.
Like,
I gotta go to the hospital now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they rushed me to the hospital. High CK levels, wrapped up my eyes, wrapped up, also breakdown, and they were like, Lance, we're glad that you cramped up, because had you not cramped up, that could have been your kidneys. Yeah. So once again, no one knew I had sickle cell.
Right.
Fast forward, I still have these issues. Like, well, we're gonna hire you a psychiatrist. Team psychiatrist.
Because you're crazy now?
Because now I'm crazy, because, you know, whenever I was a competitor. When other guys on the team saw that I was weak on the court, because sickle cell makes you weak, because we're playing an aerobic sport that depends on oxygen. We're not playing an anaerobic sport that depends on carbs, right?
Okay.
Or glucose.
Got it.
So we're constantly running in a circle.
Yeah.
Football, you run, stop, run, stop, run, stop. At least you can catch your breath. Basketball, you can't do it.
Right.
So when guys would see me weak, they're trying to get playing time too. So they're going at me. They're going aggressive, bro. And I'm a competitor. So, you know, it's frustrating. The coach is like, oh, you're being lazy, you're being soft, you're being a P word, right?
Yes,
you know,
yes.
to emasculate you. So yeah, we're going back and forth arguments, but what happened was they was like, okay, we need to get your psychiatrist, because we think that whatever you're dealing with is a figment of your imagination, that your brain is so powerful that it's forcing your body to cramp up because you're in a state of anxiety.
Wow.
So they prescribed me Effexor, citalopram, and Celebrex for the pain.
Wow.
So that exacerbated.
I can only imagine.
It exacerbated. I go back to the hospital a second time because my whole upper body cramped up. I'm like, I hope my heart's not gonna.
Right.
Doctor was like, Lance, if I was you, I'd never play sports again. I'm 19 years old, fresh out of the ghetto. I'm not trying to go back. Yeah. So yeah, it was rough. But then after the doctor told me that, they released me from the team. Then I went to the next school and they found out I had sickle cell trait, because they did an evaluation, a physical, and they found out I had sickle cell trait. And then from that point on, I was like, no, okay. I'm fixing this.
Right.
I'm getting to the bottom of this.
Right.
I'm going to take my competitive nature from sports to life,
right,
to my health. So that's what happened for me.
Excellent. I mean, sorry you had to go through all of that
I'm
lead up to it.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not sorry. I'm
okay.
happy. I'm happy I went through it. Yeah, I'm happy.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so that's a whole nother subject we can come back to, like the gratitude part, right? Okay, so you're saying you found out you had sickle cell trait, which for anybody who's heard about sickle cell will hear sickle cell trait is not a problem, right? That's what they tell us. Now I have sickle cell.
It's benign.
Right, it's benign.
Yeah.
Never cause you a problem unless you want to have kids. I have sickle cell trait also, and my mom had sickle cell trait. She had symptoms, which, you know, back in those days, who even knows what she really had, to what degree, who even knows? But when you found out that you had sickle cell trait, what made you look at your diet as an important factor in that puzzle?
Well, the reason why I started to go on a diet route is because a lady from the cafeteria.
You know what? I'm going to ask you to hold this a little bit closer, just because there's a little background noise. You can clip it on if you want.
Okay. So it was a lady from the cafeteria. She was Dominican. Yeah. And so the reason why I went down a path for diet for sickle cell, because a lady in the cafeteria, she was Dominican, and she was telling me that there's a lady in my island. She looks good. She looks young. She's healthy. She only eats plants. She only eats beans and all this stuff. I was like, really? So it took me a while to really understand what she was trying to say, because I'm like, I know a little bit about it, right? Because I'm studying it. Sickle cell is it's predicated on oxygen. If you lose oxygen, that's when your body starts to do its thing. And I started to understand that, certain things come from certain environments. So sickle cell is endemic, or sickle cells is more prevalent in the tropics because of malaria, and that's nature selection for malaria, right?
Right.
And since that's endemic there, then there's something about that area that I need to figure out how to mimic. Because when you look up the symptoms, you're like, well, high altitude is one thing that can cause complications or a crisis. Well, I can't live in Denver, Colorado, so why would I mimic that region? Cold weather. Well, if it's cold weather, well, why would I live away from the tropics? So I'm stuck here, the tropics, and I have to figure out what is it about this tropics that basically says if you leave this, your genes don't necessarily work the way they're supposed to work.
Right. So, and when you say tropics, you're still in Florida.
You can say Florida, right? Because Florida's not too far away from the tropics.
Okay.
The Tropic of Cancer ends just above Cuba.
Okay.
So that's 23.5 latitude. We're probably at like 26 latitude. So we're not that far.
Okay.
Right. So we have tropical conditions the majority of the year, but then there's sometimes that you don't.
Right.
But I'm talking about more like my father's from Jamaica.
Okay.
Like that's tropical.
Yes,
right?
it is.
Or parts of like West Africa where
Right.
it's really tropical. And I was like, okay, well, what are some plants that grow there that don't grow here year round? Watermelon. Well, everyone loves watermelon. If you're from America, you're African American. Why is that? Well, because citrulline is a precursor of arginine, it's a precursor of nitric oxide.
Right.
It's a blood flow.
So let's just break it down a little bit,
Yeah.
because people might not know anything about amino acids in general or any of that stuff. So, okay, we're gonna do the quick and dirty version of what is the value of nitric oxide. Now, a lot of the people who follow whole food plant-based eating actually have heard about nitric oxide, right? But it's more in relation to cardiac blood flow and coronary artery disease, high blood pressure, things like that, right? So what we want to know is what's so magical about nitric oxide in the case of something like sickle cell disease?
So for me, the number one importance of nitric oxide in the case of sickle cell disease is platelet aggregation.
Okay, right? So we're talking about clotting. Okay.
Blood clotting.
Yeah.
Right. That's one of the number one benefits of someone who has a proper endothelial function or endothelial health. That's the inner lining of the blood vessels, right?
Right.
That releases the nitric oxide. Right. So if that's one of the main factors, that must be the number one important thing for everyone that has some type of blood issue or blood flow or oxygen delivery issue. We have to nitric oxide for anyone with sickle cell trait. We should give them a book for it. Here you go. Learn about it. Learn how to get it. Learn what stops it. This is what you really need to focus on. Yeah, everything else too, but this is number one because of platelet aggregation. So that's going to be a life of less pain, a life of just a more fulfilled life. Physically and mentally. Right. So the psychological side of sickle cell trait is just as bad as the physical side of sickle cell trait. And for me, it's one of those things where you got to place yourself in an environment that is conducive of nitric oxide, of blood flow, right? And the tropics is it. It basically screams nitric oxide. It has a lot of potential for nitric oxide.
And that's mostly because of the food available?
The food, the sun, right? And just the ability, the temperature, right? Because the UV rays, right? UVA, B, we rarely get C, we never get C. And then the food itself, and then the warmth as well, right? So the warmth, the rays, the food, and the overall psychological effects. If you're stressed out, you have high cortisol levels, good luck. Good luck anywhere in this life, right?
That's right.
Typically, when you go places that are warmer, people look more relaxed.
They certainly move more slowly.
They move very slow. You go to the ice, you're like, yo, you're an hour late. They're like, don't worry. Right. Be happy.
Right. We're running on island time.
IT. Island time. It's really IT. Yeah. So just from the overall stress perspective, the overall sunbathing, it's called heliotherapy. Heliotherapy is a real thing, right? It's where we as dark skinned people, we tend to not go down that path. We can talk about the history of why people don't necessarily care about being darker or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a necessity. Like you've got to be a few shades darker than your armpit, right? Because that's your base color. And you know, it's just one of those things where that tropic brings it back because we get it all year round. We don't have a winter in the tropics.
Right.
When I go to Jamaica in the winter, I'm eating watermelon. Nothing really grows unless you pre-plan for Wisconsin, right?
Right, Wisconsin.
What's good?
You can grow microgreens.
That about
microgreens in your kitchen or living room, wherever you're doing it.
That about it. And what about you can't necessarily get berries that time of year because berries happen after that period because that's a period of dormancy. That's when nothing grows. That's where animals hibernate. If animals hibernate, sickle cell doesn't come from places where animals hibernate. So when I'm looking at certain things, I'm like, animals hibernate there. I shouldn't necessarily set up there, right? Watermelon or mangoes don't grow there. I can visit for a little bit,
right.
But
I
may not want to spend too much time there. Right. Or if I am there, and I don't want to sound like privileged, because to live in the South as someone who's dark skinned, that's a privilege, right? You would have to mimic the tropics. Yeah. So you would have to buy UV lights, vitamin D lights, UVB lights for vitamin D, red light therapy, infrared. You have to do a bunch of these things to mimic the tropics. And that's, for me, the most important thing. I have to mimic that environment of where sickle cell comes from, because natural selection didn't put you in an environment that's gonna not give you things. Like, and I'll be speaking about this later. The poison and the anecdote typically comes from the same environment.
Yes.
It's not gonna. You're not gonna find
right.
other side of the world.
Right. No, they're usually growing right next to each other.
Yeah. From the same tree.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So
certainly from the in the same patch of soil they will be.
Same there. So that was my approach. My approach was, let me really figure out why things happen in nature and not try to complicate it, because I think we complicate things too much. No, we need sun, we need water, we need food, clean food,
real food,
plant-based diet. We need sleep, stress management, exercise,
avoid substances, toxic relationships, and you got it nailed.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's right.
And then you'll be on IT too. You'll be on Island Time too.
That's right. Very cool. So we were talking a little bit about citrulline. We went down the path of nitric oxide.
Okay.
So just so people have a fair understanding, there are certain amino acids, right, that are sort of precursors or support the development or the creation of nitric oxide, right? So those are citrulline, glutamine, arginine. Any more?
Forget the other one. It's starts with a T. Forget the name. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. Okay. So what I've noticed is, because I've been studying, creating my presentation for this event also, this is what it boils down to. And you already know, right? Just eat plants.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah. Just eat plants. They contain everything that you need. They've got appropriate protein. They've got appropriate carbohydrates. They are not inflammatory by and large. In fact, they're mostly anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. And they contain the proteins, these amino acids, in forms that the body can recognize and make sense of, and then use in the next 10 minutes to do what they need to do, right? So what we say in the realm of food is medicine, I'm sure you've heard this too, right? Food is information. Food directs the cells to do what they do. And when we give the cells poisons or highly processed foods, or basically what we call crap, calorie rich and processed garbage, right? Yeah, crap. The body doesn't, it's giving the wrong information. It gives the wrong direction to the body. And if we give the body actually what it can recognize, what we used to call bioidentifiable,
Mhm.
right? Broccoli is broccoli. Yes, I understand what to do with broccoli. Brussels sprouts. Yes, I get that. Honey, I even understand that, right? But the body does not understand chemical names that are 26 syllables long and only get purchased from a lab supply store, right? So, okay, so sorry, long interlude
No,
there.
you're
So
good.
citrulline, arginine, glutamine,
Yeah.
and various
Yeah.
other
So
amino
so you
acids.
have antioxidants as well that extend the half-life of sickle cell.
Good.
I mean, of nitric oxide.
Yeah.
You have nitrates that deplete the nitrites, where you go out in the sun and release it and it creates vitamin D.
Mhm.
So you need UVA for that. You can get that anywhere. You don't have to be in the tropics for that.
Okay.
But it's most available in the tropics because it's the higher intensity of sun. So nose breathing, right? Or humming, you can get nitric oxide that way. Exercise itself, the blood moving through the vessels, nitric oxide that way. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going. It just keeps rolling and rolling. And I don't call it a whole food plant-based diet anymore. I call it a vasodilated diet.
Okay. I like that also.
It's a
right?
vasodilated diet.
Yeah.
Because that's literally what I'm doing.
Yeah. That's a great way to look at it. Yeah, that gives you a different perspective, right? So that does not include Twinkies.
Nope.
No? Does
Nope.
it Twizzlers?
Trans
Oreos?
Trans
Yeah,
fats,
none of that.
no. Or animal-based products. So meat, dairy, cheese, milk, right?
Excellent.
Those are the saturated fats.
Right.
Or oils, right?
Mhm.
Because oils they're stripped of fiber.
Right.
So the fiber
Highly
tells the body,
processed.
the body tells the fiber tells the body what to do with it.
Yeah.
And then if you don't have the fiber attached to the oil, the body's like, oh, what
do I do with this?
What? Huh? How?
So true.
Yeah. So and that's where I keep juices at a minimum, but I know that's around us, but that as well. You don't want to strip away the fiber.
Right.
Now we're going to be taking out some of the what do they call it? The phytonutrients that's inside of the fiber that's attached to it. So yeah, it goes on and on.
Yeah.
It go and I love it.
Yeah. Right?
And I love every bit of it. Like I can talk about it forever. I read a book from Dr. Louis Ignarro. He has the Nobel Prize for sickle cell and cardiovascular disease.
Okay.
So when I saw that book, I was like, well, I need this for sickle cell. So why I need that? Right? Why can't I use the same thing that he used for that for this?
Right.
And so
the amazing thing, and I hope you guys can hear me with Lance has the mic.
They can.
So
They can.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Look, there's icons that light up. Cool. But one of the things that is so wonderful about eating like this is it's like the same diet for every illness. It's the same. You just kind of tweak it a little bit. So maybe if a person with sickle cell disease needs more protein because they're like burning through proteins or something. Okay, there's ways to do that, but keep it plant-based, right? And it's the same diet for heart disease, and it's the same diet for diabetes, and it's the same diet for cancer. It's the same. It's exactly the same all the time with minor tweaks.
Because it all promotes health.
It does.
At the end of the day, we want to be optimally as healthy as possible.
Right.
To give yourself a fighting chance. You don't want to put yourself at risk. And how do you know some of those are at risk? Like you said earlier, when you eat something, are you coughing hour later profusely? Like are you about to
sneezing, right? Headaches, migraines, all that stuff.
Your body gives you signs. If you are, let's say, lactose intolerant, stay away from the whole animal. Don't even try it, right? Or in our case, stay away from all the animals.
Right.
Don't try any of them.
Yeah,
right?
no need.
Yeah.
No need.
Yeah, but I think there's a big thing in scare tactics when they tell you there's no taurine in plant-based diet. Well, in seafoods there is. In taurine, there's precursors that are amino acids that create taurine, right? And carnosine, there's precursors that create carnosine. Because if animals have it, then we have it. So you can get carnosine from just eating grass as a cow, but we can't get it as well from eating grass. We can do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But the great thing about us is that we don't only eat grass. We eat veggies, nuts, seeds, grains, fruits, legumes, and herbs and spices,
and mushrooms,
right? So mushrooms and herbs and spices, those are the ones that are missing because we never talk about those, like how you season your food,
right?
not just black pepper and salt.
Right. No.
We're talking about cumin, coriander, cayenne,
That's
paprika,
right. Cinnamon, right?
ginger,
Right. Basil,
two
right?
basil,
Give
holy
me some
basil,
oregano.
thyme,
Yeah.
sage,
Yes.
right?
That's
So
right.
there's so many things in those that those have a bunch of minerals in it, and we can't leave those out.
That's right.
That has to be included along with the mushrooms.
That's right.
Yeah.
Totally. Totally. All right. Well, we should probably wrap this up because obviously you and I could talk for a few days about this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I am so grateful that you were able to make time for this conversation. I really am. I can't tell you how much it means to me. Yeah. So thank you so much. Is there anything you would like to tell people, one last bit of wisdom, or if somebody wanted to start right now and they were an athlete and you wanted to give them, you know, some wisdom, what would you say?
Well, I would make it more towards athlete, right? Well, we can say athlete because we are all athletes in our lives, right? We have to perform and prepare and practice for being healthy. So we're all athletes in some regard, in some respect. I would say whatever it is, make sure you're optimally as healthy as possible. Right? I know you're not going to be 100% healthy and you're going to make the right choice every time. But in class, if I get a 90% on my grade, on my test, I got an A. I'm passing. If I get a 50%, that's not so good, right? So you don't have to be like me or like Dr. Merrill here. You can be 90%, 80% you can get away, 70% you're pushing it. We don't want C's. We want B's or better.
Right. 80% or more.
80% or more. We want 80% or more. So, you know, the way that I used to break it down was, you know, if I have 90 meals, well, if breakfast and lunch is great, but dinner is bad, you're still at a 66%. Right. So make half of those dinners good, and the other half you can get away with it, and then now you're more around the 80, 85%.
Right. And ultimately, eating like that, I'm gonna presume a lot of the time when you're eating the poor quality foods, you'll feel it.
Yeah.
And at some point, you'll just say, you know what, that's enough. Yeah, these are not doing me any good at all. So, yeah, very cool. Well, thanks again. This has made my trip to Washington, D.C. well worth the effort and the expense, by the way. It's been quite the thing. So we're going to wrap it up, right? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. All right, you guys, I'll catch you